Welcome to Marketplace Growth, your weekly look at building and growing a B2B SaaS business. This week, we're talking about SaaStr Annual. Kate and I got to go last week, so I'm going to share three things. Number one, revenue. Number two, a different way of growing your business that might be a bit of a sneaky surprise. And then three is some personal takeaways from the event. So stick around. We'll get into those right after the intro. Hi, we're your hosts. I'm Peter, and this is Kate with me. We're from Accoil Analytics, the uncomplicated product analytics for your go-to-market teams that don't want to use product analytics tools. Kate, we've got a lot to cover. We got to go to SaaStr last week in San Francisco. I had a great time. I'm pretty sure you had a great time too. Today, let's go through what we learned, and let's start with the big one, which is revenue, the focus of pretty much the entire week, I think. So talk to us about revenue. What was on the tip of everyone's tongues?
Well, if you can imagine 13,000 people all in one space, what was on the tip of their tongue was revenue. Revenue. Last year it was growth at all costs. This year it was actually revenue. How much revenue, how many sales you were doing. So that was the thing that was really driving the conversations, which for me was quite interesting because for a number of years, of course, that hasn't been the case. It's always been about growth.
And define growth for me. So to me, you can have revenue growth, but in years past, what was it? What we're talking about, like growth at all costs, that mindset that it wasn't actually about revenue. Is that right?
Correct.
Yeah.
I would agree with you. No. So I suppose being more definitive, it was more about you just get users, trialers, whatever, and you weren't so focused on how much it was all costing you. Whereas now it's very much about the revenue and how well and how good and how sustainable the revenue is.
Yeah, that really struck me as something that kept coming up at a lot of the talks and up on the stages, as well as in personal conversations, really focusing on revenue numbers and the health. And what was the other one? Was go-to-market efficiency. Like, how well is that machine running for you? Which, I don't know, it seems like I've always found this funny, the growth at all costs thing. If you can just go raise more money, right? Like you have a business, but it's never made sense to me. So it's nice and refreshing to me to hear people talk about we actually need to make money, get profitable, and do it efficiently, not just throw money at the problem.
Correct. And build sustainable practices.
Yeah.
Yep.
So speaking of sustainable practices, the second thing we're going to talk about, and this was a surprise to me, was how some of these big Silicon Valley companies are going about driving revenue with a sustainable playbook. What was that playbook? And then I've got some reactions to that too.
Well, there was lots of discussions around outreach, and people, the phone is back, believe it or not. So lots and lots and lots and lots of booze and conversations and topics on AI. But the one that kind of slipped in on the side, which everybody was like, ooh, was good old-fashioned outreach with using the telephone. And I think I also need to say there was lots of examples of where automation was done badly. I think the best one for me, Pete, I don't know about you, the best one for me, unfortunately, they had a very good salesperson who actually stopped it and didn't send it. But AI, someone actually had written a heartfelt post on LinkedIn about their father dying, and the automated response was, sorry to hear about the passing of your father. Would you like a trial? Would you like a demo? So fortunately, that never got sent, but there is a bit of mindless automation of emails, and we were the recipients of that, weren't we, Pete, on the way whilst we were waiting to attend the event. There was quite a lot of mindless automation on emails.
I think we got a lot of that, yeah. And I don't know, I for one was excited to hear that outbound is still a really strong play. And I probably spend too much time on LinkedIn looking at a lot of this stuff, but according to LinkedIn, or a lot of some small corner of LinkedIn anyway, outbound is dead, right? And I think the message that I got from, I believe it was the Rippling CEO, was talking about how, and you've got the numbers, that it's driving a lot of their business, but you have to do it well. And that's the differentiator, right? It's one of those things where it's like, yep, you can use AI, you can automate the heck out of this, but if you're not doing it well, it's not going to work. So yeah, in a sense, outbound's dead. Bad outbound is dead. So I think that's encouraging.
Well, I think the thing for me was that people had actually been increasing their budgets. So Ripple, I think, had said 50% and they were going for 60%. But I think I want to be clear on this. All those people who think I'm being a Luddite here, what we're talking about here is AI automation and good, well-designed outreach and understanding and understanding your playbook well. So there was quite a lot of discussion about go-to-market playbooks and how you should design those and how you should scale them over time.
Yeah, I think that's been a lot of discussion around that at the event. Was the playbooks that you have, but how do you even get to that playbook? I think this was really helpful for me anyway to think about. You don't just turn a playbook on; that there's actually a lot of work to be done up front. And you and I got to have lunch with a friend who's in Y Combinator at the moment, and he was giving us a bit of feedback on that program as well. So for those of you that don't know, Y Combinator is a big accelerator in San Francisco, like top of the charts kind of thing to go through if you're in the startup world. And they're training their people to do outbound. They're training them to do it well and manually, right? So it's not AI written. It's you sit down and you research the companies and the people that you're actually reaching out to, which can take a long time, but that's the point, I think, of doing it well. So it got me excited to get back into it. And you mentioned the phones before. I don't want to do that. I got to be honest. That for some reason is one of
No
those
one
things
ever
that
does,
picking
Pete.
up the
We
phone
know this.
scares me
Yeah.
somehow. I don't know why, but it's like there's that cold sweat that comes over before you tap the button. But anyway, I think the companies that end up doing this well are going to do really well. And I think Rippling was a great example of that, where they are just smashing it with these revenue playbooks that include outbound. So that's really cool to see. One other thing, actually, Kate, that comes to mind when we talk about AI, and I think it was a talk from Theory Ventures and Tomas Tungus, who said Theory did this state of go-to-market survey that they do every year. And the amount of companies that have adopted AI to boost their sales plays is basically everyone did, and no one's seeing an ROI on it, which is amazing to me. Just absolutely shocking that you can try all this stuff and it had almost zero impact on incremental revenue. It just blew my mind.
Probably yet, I'd say. I'd probably add yet on the end of that. And I think a lot of people are just talking about it as a productivity play.
Yeah.
Productivity play for outbound.
I think that was the one sort of highlight of the AI section of that survey was that people are reporting that they're more efficient. But if you get more efficient at not making money, does that matter? I don't know. That's
I don't know either, Pete.
Seems like cool.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, let's talk personal takeaways. I know we talked before we hit record here. Just what stood out to you as an attendee at SaaStr? Maybe we would think about doing differently when we host a booth at an event.
Well, I always like to go around to all the booths. I like to understand and learn about the products, but I also like to see how people are pitching. I think the thing that was quite intriguing for me was the lack, and maybe this is because there just was so many people, was the lack of questions. It was straight into this is what our product does, not let's talk about you for a bit. Let's talk about what is important to you, and I'm interested in you. So there was very much at times, God bless, there was very much transactional, just let's go through the motions so I can get that lead, scan you for a lead. Because I've got 600 leads to get and just let me get to lead. And so now I'm waiting for people to write to me. So that will be really interesting once I get that.
Yeah,
so
I had the same experience where I felt very much the same, where I was the one asking the questions at a lot of the booths. And I think that surprised me where, it's almost an awkward conversation where it's like, how come I'm the one interrogating you right now when nobody at the booth has any idea what we do. So that happened a lot, I would say.
It did.
You mentioned trying on pitches, and I think for us as attendees, that was really helpful. That stands out to me as a way of kind of hitting fast forward on our customer research, is that you get there in person, you get to every new conversation is here's how I'm going to angle it this time. How did that go? Yes, no. And got to have conversations with people and actually ask them point blank. And I think you did the same. So like, how did I go? Did you understand do you know what I'm talking about? Is it compelling? So I think that fast learning is really important. Excited to go back and do it again at the next event.
Yeah, I agree. So in essence, what we're saying here is be authentic, be interested, and avoid being transactional. God bless. I had a lot of people all looking at my name tag and then deciding cross, tick, and move on. And so I had a bit of a chuckle on that because you never know who the person is really.
I wonder if we should do that for the next event, is make t-shirts that say my eyes are up here, and you know that everyone's doing that thing where they get down and look at, when everyone looks at your badge to see, who am I talking to? Are they important?
Yes.
Maybe that's the next swag play for us. All right. So 3 key takeaways from SaaStr last week. Revenue is back. So how efficient is your go-to-market movement, and is it making you actual money? Outbound is back and getting on the phones, which I am surprised by. Well, actually, no, I'm not surprised by it. I go figure that it's actually working. In a sea of same AI emails, the phones actually work. And then from personal takeaways, how you sell is really important at these things, either on the booth or just meeting people directly. And then for us, I think it was really helpful to to try on our pitches and be very deliberate about that too, Kate, was, we're going to go in and see if we can come out the other side of this event with a more refined message and pitch.
Do you think we did, Pete?
I think we did. I'm excited for the next one. So
yeah,
always
so
getting better. Always getting better. All right, everybody. If you like this video, please smash that like and subscribe button. We're here every week talking about B2B SaaS, building up Accoil Analytics, and sharing stuff that you hopefully find valuable. Anything that you want to ask us, please leave it in the comments. Otherwise, we'll see you next week.
Bye, everybody, and more sales to you.